All right, today we are diving deep into a fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty wild theory about a hidden war for the future of the planet. The source material we're looking at claims this isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. No, this is a secret, high-stakes battle between Donald Trump and a powerful shadow organization the source calls the Masons. So let's break down exactly what this theory claims is going on behind the scenes.
Right out of the gate, our source material makes this incredibly bold promise. It's basically saying, listen up because we're about to pull back a curtain you didn't even know was there. It definitely sets the stage for a story that claims to be unlike any other.
So let's get right to the core premise. The theory argues that everything we see playing out on the world stage, the headlines, the political drama, all of it, that's just the surface. It's a distraction from a much, much deeper conflict happening in the shadows between two massive competing powers.
And at the absolute heart of this theory is one central explosive claim, that Donald Trump is the #1 enemy of a secret global organization. The source gives this group a specific name, Zionist Freemasonry, and says they're locked in a fight to the death with him for control.
The source really frames this like an epic movie. On one side, you have Donald Trump, who they call the Rebel King. He's this totally uncontrollable force, driven by a massive ego, but seen by his followers as a kind of national hero. And on the other side, you've got the shadow rulers, this faceless, powerful group with a meticulous global plan, supposedly pulling the strings through networks like the Zionist lobby.
So you have to ask, how did this war even start? Well, according to the source, it was never supposed to happen. The whole thing was an accident, a cosmic glitch in the matrix that threw a giant wrench into a plan that was decades in the making.
The theory claims the 2016 election was basically a scripted event. It was all supposed to be just political theater. Hillary Clinton was chosen to be the winner from the start, and Donald Trump, he was allegedly picked to run against her for one simple reason. He was seen as a loud, entertaining celebrity who couldn't possibly win. He was the perfect opponent to guarantee her victory.
And for proof, the source points to something pretty strange, a 2000 episode of The Simpsons that showed a future female president. The theory claims that Hillary Clinton's campaign outfits were no coincidence. They were a deliberate nod to this, a signal that the plan was on track. But then, in 2016, the American voters did the unexpected. They elected Trump, and the entire script was supposedly thrown into chaos.
So Trump wins. The impossible happens. But according to this theory, he was still supposed to be an ally, someone who would play the game. This next part is all about the moment he allegedly broke free, the moment the puppet cut his own strings.
And this is really the key to the whole thing. The theory hinges on this idea that the very personality traits that made Trump so controversial, what the source calls his ego and madness, were the exact things that made him impossible to control. His perceived weaknesses, paradoxically, became his greatest strengths.
The source lays out this transformation in 4 clear stages. First, he was an ally. He was on their side. Then, he actually got a taste of real presidential power. That's when his ego supposedly exploded, and he started seeing himself as a king who shouldn't have to answer to anyone. And finally, he became the rebel. He refused to be their puppet, even though, according to the source, he knew that breaking the deal was basically a death sentence. Now, after Trump leaves the presidency, this supposed secret war just spills out into the open. It's no longer happening behind closed doors. It becomes a messy, chaotic, and very public campaign for survival and control. The theory pinpoints January 6th as the absolute point of no return. After losing the election, Trump's actions that day were, in this narrative, the first direct physical attack. This was the moment the shadow organization allegedly realized just how dangerous he was, that he was a true rogue agent who couldn't be contained.
So what does Trump do? According to this theory, he launches this wild counteroffensive. He works to solidify his base, turning himself into a kind of martyr hero. He supposedly gets his hands on highly secret documents to use as life insurance. The theory even alleges that he faked assassination attempts on himself to whip up his supporters, and used all his legal battles to paint a picture of himself as a victim fighting against dark, evil forces.
And that brings us to the final act of this story, where the stakes get as high as they could possibly be. The ultimate weapon in this secret war, according to the source, isn't an army or money, it's information. It's secrets.
So what pushed everything to the absolute brink? The theory claims the organization was pressuring Trump to attack Iran. He refused, so they allegedly hit back by by leaking the Jeffrey Epstein documents to hurt him. But this move apparently backfired, big time. Instead of forcing him to submit, it just pushed him over the edge. And that's when, supposedly in a fit of pure rage, Trump played his final card. He threatened to unleash his own set of secret documents. And these weren't just any documents. They were secrets so explosive that they could destabilize not just America, but the entire global order. This was his checkmate.
And what is supposedly in these secret files? Well, it's a list of the biggest conspiracy theories of the last century. We're talking the truth behind the JFK assassination, what really happened on 9/11, the secrets surrounding the death of Michael Jackson, and a list just goes on. According to the source, Trump holds the keys to all of it.
Which brings us to where things allegedly are today, in a fragile, terrifying stalemate. The organization can't get rid of him. Why? Because they're afraid that if he dies, these doomsday documents could be released automatically. His death, instead of solving the problem, could trigger what the source calls a catastrophic internal explosion that would bring the whole system crashing down.
So what are we supposed to make of all this? Is it a hidden battle for the fate of the world, with a rebel king fighting a shadowy empire? Or is it an incredibly detailed conspiracy theory that grew out of the internet? The source material presents a very clear choice. What you believe? Well, that's up to you.